Welcome to another episode of Intuitive Living, Intuitive Eating RD podcast with myself, Kathy Richards, registered dietitian. Exercise. I think it's common knowledge that we should be moving our bodies on a regular basis to be our healthiest and stay our healthiest as we age. Today, I'm going to talk about how I work with clients to help them tweak their activity or add in activity and answer some of the key questions that I get on a regular basis. How much should I move? When should I do my movement? And give you some tips and tricks that work to keep us active. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kathy Richards. I'm a registered dietitian, and I help women in midlife learn how to listen to their bodies through intuitive eating. So through intuitive eating, we're able to kind of get feedback from our bodies. And part of that focus is also to learn to listen to our body in movement and think about gentle nutrition and getting some movement in most days. And movement can look different for different people, but we want to stay active because that's going to help us as we age. And I will put my hand up. In the last 4 years, I've been the least active that I've been over my whole lifespan. I'm 48. I live with post-concussion syndrome. I've recently, 4 years ago, I became a single mom. All those things, I could use all the excuses about why I wasn't as active as I wanted to be. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If we weren't active, let that go. Then it's building on how can we fit activity into our life now? What can we start doing now to be more active? There's so many benefits to being active. When we're active, it helps increase our mood. So mental health is a big thing. It helps increase our energy, which can be hard. It can be hard when we're exhausted. I only slept 5 hours last night. It's hard to motivate myself to move. I recently took a tumble cross country skiing, which triggered some of my post concussion symptoms. So, movement right now looks like doing things that aren't going to kind of really scramble my brain too much, because that will lead to nausea and headaches and some of the symptoms that I live with. But how can we incorporate more movement? And why should we? As females in midlife, what is important about movement? So I wanted to hop on today and share some of the tips and tricks that I give my clients. And one that's worked for me, I've been more active in the last 6 weeks than I have been for the last few years. And what changed? What was that thing? I think a big part of it is accountability. So I recently spent some time with some friends from, 15, 20 years ago. I lived in their city, and we were talking as a group about how we wanted to be more active. And, we came up with the idea of let's check in with each other. Let's just do it via text, say what we did or what we didn't do, and there's no judgment. It's just a place for us to say, hey, I moved, or hey, I'm really off track right now. I'm still here. You're encouraging me. I'm inspired by watching how you're moving, and we can support each other. And I think a big part of my be more active is having that group as a place to go and be witness and say, hey, I'm here and I'm trying to do my best for activity. Another thing that I did this winter, we're just coming out of winter. It's March, sun's out, snow is melting where I am in Canada. But I love to cross country ski. And, previously I would make plans with friends to meet at different locations and ski. And there is a site close to me that gets groomed infrequently, but it does get groomed, is 7 minutes from my house. So this year I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm going to go skiing. I didn't get out until February. So, my season could have been much longer. My season was about a month. Um, but I got out 10 times in that month versus previous years when I've gotten out maybe 4 times for the whole season. And I think a big part of it was I let it be easy. I let it be a 7-minute drive. I let it be, I'm going to go before my calls start in the morning. Or I'm going to go right after work, when it's a bit warmer. And I just let it be that I would go. And if I felt like doing 30 minutes, I would do 30 minutes. Often it turned into the 60-minute loop. But what a big difference was I didn't make myself wrong, and I just went. And I was talking to a coach that I've been working with since 2019. And I was saying to her, it's weird because I used to go and I used to be like, oh, people are watching me. They're going to think I'm doing this wrong. And now I just go and I just ski. I don't care what anyone else thinks. And she reflected back to me that a lot of that is being in my body more, being embodied and feeling in my body sensations, which is part of intuitive living, right? And letting ourselves just kind of come out of our head and just focus on the activity. And I did find as I'm exercising, when I get in my head and I start thinking about all the things I want to do, that's when I fall or I tumble or, the injuries occur, right? So it's just a great reminder to be in our body. But what does exercise do for us? It does lots of things. That helps with our mood. It creates energy. Okay, so if we are fatigued because of different things, vitamin D, B12, iron, parenthood, all those things can, affect our energy levels. Just moving for 10 minutes creates energy in the body. And that can feel so hard. I didn't sleep much last night. That feels so hard to get that movement in today. But with that reminder that moving my body gives me energy, sometimes that can make it easier to go out and do some movement. I had a client ask me recently, she had the idea that she was going to go on her treadmill 10 minutes every hour throughout her working day. Or she wanted to know if that was a good idea, if it was better to do it all at the end of the day. If you want to think about movement and energy, I would say do it every hour throughout the day. The research shows productivity increases when we get up from our desk at that, every hour as well. But the other side of it is, I have a treadmill right in front of my desk. I can see it while I'm working. I can tell myself at the end of the day, I'm going to get on that treadmill. And 90% of the time in the last couple of years, I haven't gotten on that treadmill. So if we can do things in little bursts of time, we still get the benefit for energy. We still get the benefit for mood. We get the benefit of, blood sugar regulation, so much benefit to moving our bodies. If we can do it in increments of 10 minutes, that's good. And then chances are we're going to get more in the day. Because if you get to the end of your day and you haven't done activity, it's going to be a lot harder to motivate yourself to get on that treadmill for 30 or 45 minutes or whatever versus having those little bursts of time. So when you do it in the day, it needs to be a time that fits for you and a time that's going to work. But again, don't make yourself wrong. So a couple times skiing, I want to go out first thing in the morning to get it done. It it just sets me up to be really motivated and energetic through the day. But I didn't make myself wrong if I didn't go out first thing in the morning. I would go out in the afternoon when I was finished my work and I would still get it done. So, big part of building in regular exercise is not making yourself wrong. And I find not pinning it to a certain point of day, but at the same point, some people need to have scheduled activity time. So they need to have it in their calendar. It's not going to happen. If that's you, book it. Book it as an appointment in your day. Go and do the activity and get it done. If you want to know about the research to show how much activity improves our health, there's a great video. I'll try to link it below. It's 23 and a half hours by a doctor named Mike Evans. It came out from U of T in Toronto. It came out early, like 10 years ago at least. And what it does is it breaks down the science of movement, right? So how much movement do we need to do? How often do we need to do it? How intense do we need to do it? When you look at the research, just getting 10 minutes more of movement can actually decrease blood pressure by up to 12%. So people that walked more than 10 minutes to get to their work. So small changes over time, even if we're walking and our weight is not shifting, we're still going to be healthier, or we're doing exercise and our weight is not shifting, we might still show up as obese. If you look at the BMI scale, our health is still going to be better. Mobility is another thing. As females in our midlife, as estrogen and hormones leave, mobility is going to be important to keep our bones strong. We're going to want to keep moving and building our muscle. So does exercise need to change as we age? Yeah, it does. And I'll share below a link. You can pick up a resource that I have where I've gone through and I've highlighted the exercise that's most important for females in midlife. We want to think about bone health. We want to think about exercise and how it helps our blood vessels stay more flexible. We want to think about exercise and how, lifting heavier weights is going to be necessary because estrogen's gone and it's what's responsible for muscle contraction. So we put an outside stress on, we still get that muscle contraction, and having more muscle is going to help us with that long-term mobility, right? Reduce risk of fall and let us be active and enjoy life. It's still going to give us mood and energy benefits. I spoke yesterday with a man in his 80s who goes to exercise 5 days to 6 days a week. And I thought, that is great. Like, he's exercising more than most of the clients that I work with on a daily basis. He's going to do core stabilization, he's doing cardio, he does weights once a week, but he's active every day. And I really believe by being active every day and finding activities that we like, that's going to keep us moving. Um, Exercise is a great way to meet other people too. I've been thinking how I'm going to, get out there more this summer, join more people in doing activities, hiking, biking. There's so much we can do. And just starting with walking is a great way to do it. I had a client yesterday who needed to be in a group format online, and that was motivating her. And she was seeing how she was able to push herself more versus just trying to do activity on her own. So, figuring out what works best for you is what's going to keep you active as you age. And it's so important. And sometimes we need that push from someone else. I spent 10 years with one person that was very active, and that really increased my exposure to different activities, kept me more active as well. I had a dog at one point. Walking my dog, I think I lost 25 pounds just by owning a dog, right? So there's different things that are going to motivate us to move. But the biggest thing I would say is figure out what works for you. Don't make yourself wrong if you skip a day of activity, but then get back on track. Reach out, have an accountability partner. I've opened accountability groups for exercise and a few other things. So if you want the information on that, you can comment accountability below and I'll reach out. $17.99 for 1 month of support. And it's just coming in and checking in with other people, sharing tips and tricks that work for you, and getting some, traction on those goals that we want to focus on to be our healthiest. If this was helpful, if you enjoyed this episode, let me know below. And if you have a friend that may benefit from this information, please share it with them so that we can get more women in midlife listening to their bodies through intuitive eating so that they can feel better and keep moving for the long term.